We're still waiting a couple of seconds for everybody to come in here. I guess the opener question I had this time was, what do you struggle with the most when it comes to downsizing? Clothes, tools, or electronics? This one's pretty easy for Marissa, I would say. What do you struggle with the most with downsizing? Or if you got another one that's not even on the list, like clothes, tools, electronics.
You're the only one that struggles with electronics.
Mine's. I am not the only one with electronics, I bet. I struggle with electronics. What's yours?
Definitely have a clothes problem. That's been hard for me, for sure. It's the biggest hurdle. Hence why I need to downsize again.
Yes. Clothes have been tough for us. Tools and electronics, both.
Yeah.
Tools are like, I have an excuse with tools. Like, tools are tough because you never know what you're going to need with a tool. I mean, and there's going to be one day where finally we're out in the middle of nowhere. I don't have the tool I need because I downsized it. Hey, Brenda. Brenda's in.
Hello. Well, I'm that way with clothes. You never know when you're going to need it.
Well,
I'm like, every time I get rid of something, I'm like, oh, I could have used that. See? It works the same way.
paperwork. What do you mean by paperwork? Like, I'm assuming that'd be like, I mean, I've had that problem before too.
We went digital with everything.
Yeah. I still have that problem sometimes. It's a
Yeah.
pain. It's a pain to go digital.
Mm-hmm.
Like just today, I needed like I asked for my insurance for something I was doing, and I had no insurance card. Like it was all digital, and so I had to like email it to them and they had to print it out. But I still have at least not as much stuff going on.
Yeah, kids' clothes. I definitely have a problem with that with him because you remember events of them being in those outfits, and that's super tough. I'm like, oh, she wore that for her first birthday, or when we're doing a certain memory. So kids' clothes are tough.
So I think today, like, we wanted to talk, and we'll highlight a lot of the stuff we're talking about with tools, electronics. We're going to get into some kitchen stuff. Clothes. I think clothes are a pretty big deal because it's a shock a lot of the times when you move into an RV, like how small of a storage space there is for clothes. It depends on the RV, of course.
Some are larger than others.
Yeah, it totally depends on the RV as far as clothing storage. But
thinking back to even how much I had in that fifth wheel, I mean, we had that whole back closet compared to now. We've got like a little tiny one. So,
and that was one of our questions, like, where do I store stuff in my RV? So every RV is different. Of course, travel trailers, fifth wheels, Class A, they all have different storage options, everything different. Like, we're still finding, this is kind of funny, and you guys that have an RV may have experienced this. Like, you'll be like we've used our Airstream for 6 months, and just the other day, over 6 months, and just the other day, I didn't realize you could pick up the bed in the back on the Airstream, and you could access like the storage bay underneath, which there's always storage underneath the bed, but I just assumed there was no storage under there because we've already got 3 drawers going around it. Mm-hmm. But you can pick it up, and you can access the outdoor bay from the inside, and then you have these like 2 little corner cubby things, and we've got our drawers in the back. So it's funny when you have an RV, like you'll actually start finding storage in places you never knew existed. Yeah. Like they cram, it seems like a lot of these manufacturers do a good job. They cram storage everywhere in these things.
Mm-hmm. It's like a treasure hunt.
Yes.
You never know what you're going to
There's storage. Our couch, like the armrest, you can pick those up. There's storage under there. So I think when you're walking around and touring RVs, it's definitely in Detroit. Yeah. Like when you're walking around looking at RVs, really look closely, because sometimes at first glance you think, oh my goodness, there's no way I could live in this, so there's no way there's enough storage in here. But once you start really opening stuff up and looking around, there may be more than you think there is. Now, in the case of an Airstream, when you start looking at it, it's actually deceptive because there's less storage than you think there is for the most part, because all your cabinets are curved and you're losing almost a third on the top. So you got some of them you walk into, you got cabinets going all the way down the ceiling. You're like, oh my goodness, look at all that storage. But when you open it, you're like, oh, it's a third of it's not there. But we've definitely seen a difference in our storage between the Airstream, the fifth wheel, the Class A, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The Class A had the most. These are generalities. If you took a 40-foot Class A, a 40-foot fifth wheel, and I don't know, like a 35-foot trailer or whatever, the Class A had the most by far. We moved from our fifth wheel to the Class A, and we thought when we first looked at the Class A, Marissa's like, I don't think we can do this. But we ended up having more room, like in that Class A.
We had tons of bays that were empty, and yeah, it had. I think because the storage was easily accessible in the motorhome, made it a lot easier. Like they did the pull-out drawers, and they had everything like really neat and tidy. And I feel like our fifth wheel was just like these huge cavernous cabinets, so we could fit more in the motorhome because it was more well thought out, I guess.
Yeah, well, your motorhomes are built to hold more weight. And so because they hold more weight, they stick spots for storage in more places. Your fifth wheel looks way bigger, and that's what we were talking about in the chat here. They, like a toy hauler, they look bigger and they have more height to them, but the actual storage spots are not as great as and for the most part, a lot of your fifth wheels can't hold as much weight too. A lot of them, our fifth wheel only had like 1,200 pounds of cargo capacity. I mean, that's nothing.
It was so bad. I would bring like a 24-pack of water in, and Nathan would be like, nope. We don't have. We didn't have the weight for that.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Let's see. And Tiffany was talking about hiking outfits. Keep up with having a hand washer. Obviously, you can't wear the hiking. Oh goodness, the hiking stuff. We've been exploring. We've got a video that's coming out. It hadn't come out yet. We've tried different washing solutions as far as clothes, because obviously, if you're going to have less clothes in an RV.
The turnover.
Yeah, you got the turnover. So it's like we know some people who, like RV Love, I know we've talked to them and some others, they have enough storage where they just keep 2, sometimes 3 weeks of clothes, and they don't have the washer dryer. They use that space for their clothes, and then once they get to a spot that has a washer dryer, they take 2 or 3 weeks of clothes and wash them all at once. I'd say I have about a week's worth of clothes is all I've got, maybe a little more.
By a week, we've got to.
So about a week. Some of the stuff we really need, we got to wash it. And some of the washing solutions, we haven't shown the video yet. We've tried a lot of different stuff. We had the R2D2 hand crank.
Wonder
Wash, which is air compressed, so it works okay. So that does the washing.
It was okay. It wasn't getting toddler stains out like I had wanted.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Yeah, her clothes weren't coming out.
You got adult dirty and you've got toddler dirty. It's
a whole nother level.
It's terrible. And she goes, luckily her clothes are small, but so we tried the hand crank. We done I got 2 buckets. Tried washing with that and like a plunger thing, which Marissa thought was awesome.
I told him if that's your idea, have at it. I'm not plunging the clothes,
but the problem with those 2 things, they're a lot of hands-on work. Like the hand crank washer, you're cranking it the whole time. The plunger was even worse. You're like plunging, then moving it, plunging. So we actually tried out recently. We bought a Della washer, which you guys heard of, like a Panda washer. We've had a lot of people recommend them.
Yeah.
So we had that washing solution, then like a spin dryer next to it. So we went and bought an all-in-one by Della, which is similar to the Panda, where you got the washing machine on one side and the spin dryer on the other. And we've liked it the best so far, honestly.
It's doing a good job.
We're still testing it out. But you can the difference in that is you throw your clothes in the washing side and you just set a timer, and when it gets done, you got to spin dry them, and then you're pretty much done. It's all in one solution, and it's not as hands-on. But it's not as good as it's not going to get it as clean as an actual washer dryer, as fast at least as a washer dryer would. But if you don't have access to a washer dryer, that is one thing. We liked our combo washer dryer unit we had. It was
you hear mixed reviews, but we loved it.
Yeah. Don't worry about the toddler dirt. They outgrow clothes too fast. Just keep a few outfits nice, and that's it. I don't know. I think Marissa gets emotionally attached to different outfits with Hensley. Like she saw her in an outfit, maybe doing something or going somewhere, and so she just holds on to it. And we probably don't do it. That's one of clothes. That's why we're starting with clothes, because that's one of our weaker spots. I think we've got
not yours.
Not too.
I have to remind him to have more clothes. I'm like, come on.
Well, I don't have much emotional attachment to clothes. I think mine's more like electronics, tools, that kind of stuff.
Nathan doesn't like thinking about his outfits every day.
No, I've read a lot of stuff on minimalist clothing, and I've slowly, I don't know if you've noticed in the videos, I'm not wearing the same exact shirt all the time. It may look like I am, but I've tried to like really make it where when I wake up, and I've got so many decisions to make most days anyways, like I don't have to think too much about my clothes. Does this match, or where's this at, or what do I do? So most everything I wear, you've seen it. This is extremely exciting, I know. Hey. They're just giving you all our mail, huh? Thank you.
I explained it too. They'll do better next time.
Oh, thanks.
We haven't explained where we're at, have we?
Oh, yeah.
We are actually back in our hometown of Cookeville, so our videos are like a couple of weeks behind. Mm-hmm. So we've actually come back here, and then we'll be leaving here in a week or two to head northwest, I believe. So, you guys. So
that's where Hensley is. She's with my sister and my nieces and nephews today. So she's been having a good time.
We love her to death, but she was a little distracting last time. So
we're taking advantage of a family right now. They're getting their Hensley time in.
Yes. Let's see. The stuff my stuff's pretty boring. Like most of my shirts are this color now. And I buy, one of the cool things about when you downsize or minimalize or whatever you want to call it, is that once you do that, the stuff you buy can be nicer, feel nicer. Like, I believe in just wearing things I really love. And so I love the feel. Have you ever got like a shirt, like you just love the feel of it and you love the look of it? Maybe not. I don't know. But.
Well, that's one of the things with clothes is you have to love it. If you don't love it, then you're not going to wear it.
Yeah.
You know? I know I've got things right now I need to go through because I put them on and I'm like, I don't love this, so I'd rather have something I love.
And that's, I don't know if it's pronounced Marie Konmari. I've read her book, actually. Which is talking Konmari? It's Konmari, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why did I get that wrong? It's terrible. There's a lot of good information if you look her up, the KonMari. She's got like a great book out if you really want to see things, especially, and she focuses a lot on clothing too, because I think that's a hard part for people, like as far as how to let things go, how to show appreciation for those things, she has her folding method. I love her folding method she has. It's easy to see your clothes you want to get to, so that's kind of a plug for her, whatever, if you want to check that out. But this, my shirts are mostly like this. This is insanely boring. Like, thank goodness I'm already married to an artist. Socks, I buy all black socks because it's easy. I don't have to worry about matching my socks. And I don't know why I've liked the black ones better than the white ones, but I have. I think they don't draw as much attention to my feet, I think. Something like that. Are you embarrassed when we stop?
They don't get as dirty looking. I know
maybe
when we were in Utah, Hensley's white socks are going to have to be thrown away. They've got like red rock stain all over them. So the black actually, you can keep them longer because they don't get the red rock stain.
Yeah, Utah definitely won that round as far as our clothing. Yeah, and that's a good point with the vacuum bags. If you have seasonal stuff, dryer sheets in there come out smelling good, vacuum sealed. I mean, we haven't done...
well, it seems like you'll be somewhere one day and it's 70. Like, we'll be in Colorado and we're wearing shorts, and the next day it's spitting snow. So it's like, it's really hard. It is. It's really hard when you're traveling through different areas. You know, it's almost like I need access to.
Yeah, it's when you move around a lot, it is harder to do that, or you'll be getting it out a lot too. Like right now, it's probably, I'm sure it's snowing in Montana in certain parts. I mean, not that we're in Montana right now, but who knows when we go out there, we may be around snow, we may be in 40-degree weather again, instead of it being, good grief, the Tennessee humidity, 85, 90, whatever it is here right now.
If you move at a slower pace, that would definitely be an advantage.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
We're just
we move
crazy.
every 5 to 7 days. It's. But let's see. Did you say you want me to stop?
No, go ahead.
Dig my own grave. Shorts and pants. I have. Let's see. Nobody cares how many, probably, but I have like 5 or 6 shirts. Is that embarrassing? So I've got just enough shirts where I can all the material I buy, I don't buy 100% wool anything. It's all like rayon polyester combination where it's really soft. I've become like a clothing material snob, I guess, finding out what things are made of.
You loved merino wool for a while.
Yes, I still have some merino wool stuff. The merino wool can be worn for a long time without having to be washed. It doesn't like smell and it lets air flow through, but it's very expensive. And so I kept ripping those when I was like prepping things around the RV. So I had to stop buying those as much. These are my pants I wear a lot. These are made out of canvas by a company called Bluffworks, and they're a little bit stretchable. They can be worn.
Hiking or to church?
Yes.
Or weddings?
Yes. I've embarrassed Marissa. She gets.
You could go for a hike before a wedding, and then
I don't actually do that, but they look good enough where if we go out to eat somewhere nice or something, I can get away with wearing them, and then yet I could still hike in them if I wanted to, that kind of thing. I don't sleep in them yet. Outside Airstream bins.
Do we have any outside?
We have. We could show that. I don't know what. Let's see. I'll try. We haven't done any of this yet with moving. The reason I haven't moved the laptop much is that, from what I understand, once we move the laptop, it has to digest more information at once because the background's changing. So we could slow down the stream, which has already had issues.
You can show it in a video.
Well, let me try it. Or should I not?
I'm saying you could try it in a video. We could,
Let me try it in a video.
like in one of our vlogs.
Oh, one of our vlogs. Okay. Yeah, I need to do that.
Other
That's a
people
better
might
idea.
be
Okay, let me
interested.
do that. Okay. So I'll try to show the bays. We haven't even done a tour of our Airstream yet. So we need to do a tour and show that. And we also want to do like a separate video showing like how we organize, like actually show stuff organized in the Airstream.
Nathan is awesome at organizing.
Yeah, we've had to.
I went on a girls' trip since we've been back in Cookeville. And I come home and Nathan had like totally revamped all the storage in the Airstream while I was gone. So no telling what he got rid of.
Yeah. Yeah, Brenda, needless to say, the bays for our Airstream are tiny. Like, don't expect much of any storage outside of your Airstream.
Pretty much what you see is what you get.
Yeah, there are two. So you've got, it's laughable, it really is. You've got two really small bays that, no kidding, are like maybe the size of a large shoebox or something like that. And then you've got a back bay, which is the one I was talking about, that goes underneath your bed. Now it's a decent size. It might be the size of, I don't know, maybe like 3x4 or something like that, and maybe like 12, 18 inches high maybe. So there's a little bit of storage in that back bay, but the problem with it is when you've got a travel trailer, you don't want to put you don't want to put a lot of weight in the back of your trailer. It affects the way your tail wag when you're towing. So I have to put like I try to put really light stuff back there. So you can't really like shove it full of whatever you want. You got to be picky about what's back there. But that's kind of going back to about the Airstream versus fifth wheel versus motorhome debate about different RVs. If you want storage, Airstream, I would about say, and I'm sure there's a pop-up camper or something that, not a pull-up camper, a pop-up camper, that Airstream is one of the absolute worst as far as storage spaces, especially on the outside of the RV. Now, they do a pretty good job of trying to cram everything they can inside, but still, the thing's curved all the way around. Hi, Diane, no problem. But if you want a lot of storage, Airstream's probably your best. That's why we got the cargo van, because we toured a lot. I looked at the storage and said, wow, that is not much.
Yeah.
Now, your Class C's can be pretty bad, too, so you got to be careful of those. They have storage bays underneath, but they're nowhere near the size of Class A's. So if you want something short, like, say, 30 feet, 35 feet, really like a 30, 35-foot Class A would be your best bet. And the thing, too, if you get a diesel, it should have more normally they'll have more pass-through storage and have more storage in the gas. I'm not sure exactly on the gas, somebody can correct me, but I think you've got like the drive shaft or whatever, because of where the engine's at compared to where it's rear-wheel drive. You've got your shaft going right through that. It just seems like it takes up more space in like a gas. That's why you'll open up a gas motorhome, the bays, and you won't have that pass all the way through. And some of your diesel ones, it's like unreal. You open it up and they've got these massive drawers that slide out. So it's pretty awesome on some of the diesel motorhomes, the amount of storage you get underneath those things. But that's kind of the comparing storage wise, and it depends with a fifth wheel and Airstream what kind of vehicle you're towing with. That's why, I mean, when you look at a fifth wheel with a truck pulling it, the fifth wheel has more storage in your travel trailer, but with a travel trailer, you could put a camper over the fifth wheel or have a cargo van like we do in our case, and you kind of make up that difference with the storage under the fifth wheel, because you've got that big chunk of storage in a fifth wheel underneath the front part, but you're losing typically, like, we didn't store much in the bed of our truck, because I know there are ways, if you have a really long one, maybe you can have like enclosed storage on part of it, but for the most part, we didn't store that much in our truck with our fifth wheel, except for stuff that we didn't care to get super wet, which wasn't like a whole lot of stuff. So we get very efficient storage in the van, even though there's not much on a travel trailer. So you got to weigh that out too when you're looking at RVs. What am I going to be towing it with? and that kind of thing too. So, and some people we've seen too, they'll tow. They put their priority on storage, so they'll actually have a motorhome, and they'll pull just a trailer behind them, maybe that even has like a motorcycle and then some storage inside of it. And there's tons of different options for this storage stuff. I mean, we've tried out a few different ones, but there's a lot of other options too. But the big thing, and like what I think is so cool about downsizing is like if you can practice downsizing, you can get stuff down as small as you can. It gives you more flexibility, and you're not limited where you're like, oh man, I have to get that 40-footer because I have to have that storage. Not that there's anything wrong with that if you want that and you have the stuff, but at the same time, I think if you can get your stuff down, you've got the option for smaller stuff, which is pretty cool. That was a long rant. Wow.
Nathan loves downsizing. It's his passion.
It's a little bit therapeutical. It's really scary.
It's stressful. It's stressful.
It's
for
really
me.
crazy, isn't it?
It's
like
overwhelming.
For one person, like she gets like deer in the headlights, and like for me,
I
it's
shut down. Like
Yeah.
it's really hard. I'm not good at decision making, I guess, and organizing and prioritizing and eliminating pretty much everything to do with downsizing. And Nathan like loves it. He does. So
yeah, I think so. When she's gone, I miss her, and I have time. I'm just like, yeah, I'll just organize all of our drawers. I just go through it. Let's see. How do you decide what to sell and what you give away? Oh goodness, that's tough.
that is very,
It's a
very
loaded
tough.
question. But okay, so I think this is part of the trick to that. Is we always have, for us, we don't have a lot of room, so we just got 1 or 2 crates in our van. But we always have at least one crate that's like our possibly going to donate crate. And so what I do, and Marissa doesn't always see this, but if there's things that we're not using a lot, let's say we got something I've noticed, a toy sitting around Hensley no longer plays with, or like an appliance we're no longer using, or maybe it's just clothing that doesn't fit Hensley and Marissa's helped go through and go. Anyways, or sometimes it's things where like, I don't use this a lot, but I don't know if I'm totally ready just to drive it and give it away right now. We go put it in that crate. And I say our crate, like if you have a house or a larger space, you might have multiple crates. Same concept though. So you take it and you put it in that crate because you don't quite want to let go of it yet. And what you do is once it's in that crate or that box or that room, we had an entire room in our house that did this when we downsized.
Yeah.
You wait, for us we recheck it every 3 months, but you wait 3 months, 6 months, whatever period you want to wait. And then you like go back in that room and you kind of decide, have I missed this? Have I like wanted to use? So if you catch yourself like going in that room and getting that piece of clothing out or getting that appliance out and having to use it all the time, then hey, I probably need to keep this. But what happens, like 95% of the stuff is, and this is the funny thing, that's why I take stuff Marissa doesn't know about. Like when we go, every 3 months we'll come back to our home, around 3 months we'll come back to our hometown like we are now. And I'll pull this crate out and I'll, boom, sit on the ground like we're hauling it around our van. And I say, all right, Marissa, I want you to go through this crate and I want you to decide, are we going to give it away or let's just suck it up and store it somewhere? Because we do have a tiny bit of storage and there are things that make their way to storage, but we want to make it a gauntlet. We don't want to just throw everything in storage. And that's where she comes in. And sometimes she'll look and be like...
Storage is in, for us, we've just been storing a few things at my mom's, like in my mom's basement. So it's not a whole lot, and we didn't take out a unit or anything.
No.
But that's been great for us, just to have a few things there.
Yeah. So she goes through that crate and decides if she wants it to go to Goodwill or her friends or family or donate or whatever. And then if there's anything left at the bottom that we just absolutely can't, sometimes she'll leave it in that box, but I try to get everything out of the box at that point. Say, look, let's make a decision on everything in this box because it's been sitting there 3 months, sometimes 6 months.
Because
we're not
when we
using
come
it.
back to our hometown, I like to give it to my family
Yeah.
and people that I'm like, think would enjoy it. That makes me happy, I guess, is how I part with things, is if I know someone would find it useful or helpful. And so my family's probably like, why are you always giving me this stuff? But they don't have to I just ask them like, hey, do you want this? And sometimes I've even told you before, like, Nathan, I know I'm getting rid of this, but I need some time.
Yeah, that too.
And he'll tell me, okay. So I just need time to part with it, and then I'll let go.
Yeah, because, I mean, a lot of times you think you need something, you think you might use it, but then it's kind of a realization. When you open that crate and you're like, wow, I didn't even know that was in there, and I haven't missed it at all, then it's, sometimes she just says, let's leave it a little bit longer and let me decide, but then sometimes she's like, let's give it away. So sometimes, we just need that time, and I think that's something that's worked for us. You can do it on a small scale like we do in our van, or you can do it on a large scale and have. We had an entire bedroom, like I mentioned, in our house, basically doing this. We would take stuff from the house and put it in this bedroom. It was just this giant mess in this bedroom.
It was months of
yeah,
downsizing.
yeah,
I mean, it was a year from the time we made a decision to getting on the road as far as everything we prepped and sold and sorted. But, I mean, for months, we just would put stuff away and be like, that's our room. That's the, like, we would organize it. And did we ever go back and get anything out of that room
I think
that we needed?
that's kind of what we're talking about. Hardly anything made it out of that room. I think almost everything in that room was donated somewhere to somebody.
That's eye-opening.
Yeah.
And still to this day, there's, this is our third downsize in the Airstream, and we need another purge. Like, I think there's even things in there that we're not using.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I think especially we talked about clothes, but
But then it keeps getting in your way, and you can't get to the things you really need. And that's frustrating.
Yeah.
I know it's frustrating to you, but.
Well, and that's how some stuff ends up in the crate. Like if I'm constantly moving something that we're not using to get to something we need frequently, it makes its way to the crate.
Sometimes the crate stresses me out. You threaten the crate sometimes, and I'm not ready.
But I'm not the bad guy. I'm not like, oh yeah, I donated that without you knowing it.
He never does.
I'm like, well, it's in the van. I mean, it is. It's buried deep inside of a crate, deep in the van, but it's in the van.
He's never gotten rid of anything without my permission, as far as I know.
It's middle ground. So let's see. Diane said, what about your photos and memorabilia? Do you have all your pics digitized? Most all of them. There's a few we don't. But I'd say everything we do now is digitized. But
we haven't printed a picture in years.
No. And we went back. As I get time, the ones we don't, the very few we don't, I go back and I digitize them. I've digitized about everything now, I'd say, as far as that. And I think that's been a good thing. The digital stuff is awesome. I grew up, it's nice to hold the picture physically every once in a while, but when you just don't have room, like the digital stuff, you can have it up as a screensaver, you can shoot it over to somebody on an email, or, use on an Instagram or whatever. So it's pretty flexible. I like it. Let's see, Diane also mentioned getting rid of things that have memories attached to them.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's what makes it so tough, I think.
I had a lot of basketball t-shirts, and I debated for a while because we had talked about making it into a blanket or a quilt so that I would still get to have them, but make it useful and not just a bunch of t-shirts lying around. So that was tough. That was tough to get to the point where it was okay to like cut them up. And I've seen people do that with kids' clothes too. And they'll make like a baby blanket out of their baby clothes. So there are ways that, you can use things and make them still useful. But a lot of times it's just eliminating and saying goodbye, I guess.
Yeah, there's creative ways to do that stuff, and we try to do that.
People say take pictures of it. I know you tell me that. You're like, well, take a picture of it. And I'm like, well, I don't want a picture. I want to, like, touch it.
Different.
I want to hold it. So, I don't know. It's different for different people. So, I don't think a picture would actually just make me more sad, I think. I think I would just rather be done and not remember or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's Diane's talking about, too, like when people give us sentimental items. Let's see, family comes to give me stuff, but family keeps giving some of those. Yeah, I think the first year, our family and friends didn't get it at all as far as stuff. We would give them an Amazon list. We would say, hey, for Hensley's birthday this, or for Christmas this, because it's more Hensley than us too at this point. But they would still get her just massive toys or massive things that we couldn't. We're like, what do we even do with this? So I had to like leave it at the grandparents' house, because it was so big. But over time, I think they've kind of started to realize that, we don't want as much stuff, and we're okay if we do get stuff. We want it to be small, we want it to be useful, maybe have multiple uses, that kind of thing too. So that's really tough to not. And sometimes they give you something, and I don't know, it's just tough.
I don't think I ever leave my mom's house without her sending stuff with me. Does she always?
Well, that's how people. I mean, that's how they show love. It's through the stuff, and
she'll just give me like a bag of stuff, and I'm like.
And we've really tried to set the pace too. Like when it comes to us giving family members things, like we took our moms to like a play, or you look for creative ways to create memories that don't involve stuff, and kind of try to
more about experiences.
Yeah, more about experiences and giving examples. I mean, because our family, like, we would love it if they volunteered, like if they just came and picked Hensley up one day and took her somewhere really cool and did something with her, or gave us a date night, or there's lots of things that we would really love that would create memories for us. But it's a process. You can't, like, the first month you're on the road just say, hey, here's all your junk and just slap it on the porch. Or it took time, and it's still not there for us, but we feel like it's getting there. Tiffany asked about going back to the motorhome because of lack of space. I don't think so. I think we're adjusting to the space. The thing is, I think you'll always fill whatever amount of space you have. So if we had the largest RV ever known to man, which we had a 43-footer, so it was pretty big.
Yeah, it's close.
I think you would fill that space. And so you've got that initial downsize, but if you can ever work your way through that initial downsize, you'll your mind will just kind of start only wanting to fill that space. So, but if we went up to a motorhome from this Airstream, I guarantee you, we would probably start filling all the space again in it. And same thing with a house. You could have a 1,000-square-foot house, and everything's fine. You got plenty of furniture, whatever. But for some reason, if you go to a 3,000-square-foot house, all of a sudden you've got to have even more furniture and more things, and you start filling that space. And before long, it might even seem like the 3,000-square-foot house is too small. Same thing with a car. If your car's cluttered, and you're like, well, I'll get a bigger car. For us, at least, it seems like the car, it's still cluttered. We just kind of fill the space that you have. So I think we're pretty happy with it. I don't want to speak.
No, I mean,
some of our viewers think I just force things on you, so I'm gonna.
I knew I wanted the challenge of the Airstream. I knew that there was space we weren't filling in the motorhome. I knew it would make me, like, as much as I hate downsizing, I like the effects of downsizing. So it's almost like, I know Nathan downsizing almost is good for me because I'm like, I don't have to deal with the stress of it, but then I get the reward of, like, I love things feeling, the same as you. I love when a drawer is barely, it's almost empty, or I'm not fighting through clothes to get what I really need, but I just have a hard time getting to that place, and you're really good at that. But I do love the way that downsizing makes me feel. So I knew that going to the Airstream would make me feel free. The more we've downsized, the more weight has been lifted, but it's always stressful getting to that place for me. So I'm even at that with the Airstream, is like, there's things that I took, and I think it's overcrowded, like in my closet and my drawers, and I would like to eliminate some of that and just get some things that I really, really love. I do a capsule wardrobe, and I mean, I've gotten down quite a bit, I think, but I think there's still things that I could improve on, and I think that was a surprise to me when it come to downsizing. I thought we would do this purge and it would be over forever, but it's a skill. You have to, it's a muscle. You have to work at it. It's a constant. Actually, because things are always coming in, and you've got to get things out. And if you're not thinking about that constantly, then it starts adding up. So I'm happy with the Airstream. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous in the beginning.
She was pretty stressed the first few weeks.
Yeah, I thought, this is not. What have we done? I did. That crossed my mind because I had been in tons of Airstreams and I loved them. But I think it really sank in when I'm like, okay, well, I've walked in them, but I've never, like, lived in one. But now I don't even really think about it. And I think somebody had asked earlier where I get ready because the bathroom is so small in the Airstream. And, I mean, I get ready in our Airstream bathroom. We just can't be in there at the same time. So we are having to, like, maneuver. Like, Hensley was in the bath last night and Nathan was brushing his teeth and I was trying to get stuff out of the bathroom. We do have to maneuver around, but I mean, we get some really cool family time like that.
It'd be tough. Like, families of like 5 or more that are living in these, I mean, that's very impressive because Hensley's not even really old enough to be doing that stuff, and we still bump into each other a lot. So it's, you just got to think ahead and respect each other's space and time and that kind of thing too.
I think you get used to the space you're in. I think around a few months every time we've been nervous. We've been nervous every time, from the house to the fifth wheel to the motorhome to Airstream. We've been nervous, but every time we've adjusted just fine. And we've even thought, could we do smaller? I don't know if I could ever downsize again, but like you said, it opens up a lot of flexibility. The smaller you could be, and even if we wanted to do overseas travel one day and get it down to a backpack, it just opens up a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, we've I don't know. It's been a process, I guess, as far as doing everything. And let's see. Migratory Moose, I don't want to miss your question. How does this work at Christmas time, talking about receiving gifts from people? Kind of conceptually, some of the stuff we talked about. We do get a lot of gift cards, which I like gift cards because they're small, flat, and very easy to store. But at the same time, I get mad when something goes out of business, or you lose it, or sometimes like you don't use it until months later and turns out it's expired, or the card doesn't work and it's too late to get your money back. So we do a lot of gift card stuff, and then we do memory making type stuff is what we recommend. But that doesn't always happen. Sometimes we just get big stuff for Christmas and we got to leave it at the grandparents' house or somebody's house. We use what we can, but I don't know, we don't like just throwing the trash on the way out or anything.
And
like
Nathan's parents got us like a overnight stay, and we went to the indoor water park in Gatlinburg, and that was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I love doing stuff like that. I hope.
Yeah.
So like Nathan said, over time, I think they've started realizing our lifestyle and that they continue to get us things, and we're like, yeah, we can't use this. So now they're like, okay, well, what can you use? And they are thinking of things like that.
Yeah.
And that was a fun memory. We had a really good time together. So.
Yeah, we appreciate that a lot. And let's see. Brenda talked about being a 30-footer and then go up in size in 10 years, which most people move up in size in RVs, not down like we've done. But I think, and we'll talk about, that's one of our future videos, is like choosing the right RV, because that's a big deal. Is like, it's almost more important to know what style of travel you're going to have instead of what RV you're going to pick, because until you know how you're going to travel, the RV doesn't make as big of a difference. So for instance, if you're not into the hiking and all the kind of stuff we do in the outdoors, you like the national parks, but you're cool just sort of driving in for a day, checking it out, then going back. And you like your space, and you like your extra storage, and you like the room. I mean, you may not need something small like this. I mean, a 40-footer may be just fine.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's happened with us, though. We discovered we liked a different style of travel, unfortunately, after we'd already bought some other RVs. But you never know, like with what she was talking about, later on, if we decide, hey, you know what, we're not going to do as much of the boondocking, we're not going to do as much of the national parks as we've done so many, we may go to something bigger that's more comfortable, that doesn't have to be moved around as much. So I think that's a good question to ask, especially when you're storing your stuff. What kind of, what do I want to do instead of, necessarily what RV I'm going to get. Because an RV could look awesome, but then if you realize 6 months later you like boondocking and something small, and it may not be the right fit. But it's an important part of having storage. Let's see. How will you adjust to Hensley's space as she gets older and taller? Do you have a long-range plan or moving to something with more room?
We've talked about that. We
measured out what we had. We've changed RVs about once every year. Seems like it's kind of our pace, which I don't think I don't know. I don't know what the pace is with this yet. I think it'll be longer than that with this. But so I measured out. I wanted to make sure this was big enough for her to grow for 2 years. And like a lot of we're also trying, to have another child. So we even measured it out where it'd be big enough for Hensley for the next 2 years. And then if we had another child, we would have room for that child as well. Now, if we happen to have triplets or something crazy, we haven't figured that out. But
that would be a blessing. We could figure that out.
So that's, we get, as far as Hensley's future was not just her growing, but also school and stuff like that. We figure if we can plan out a year or two in advance for us, because life changes at our age. Life changes so much for us, as far as like maybe family being sick, or a certain, I don't know. You see people sometimes take perfect jobs or something like that and come off the road. I'm not saying that's what we want to do or what we're trying to do, but you never know what you're going to be into. So we try not to like go all in and commit to something for like the next 10 years as an RV. I think when you're retiring, the gist I get and the feeling is you're picking something for that longer 5, 10 longer span. And so you put a lot of research and a lot of time into that. But at the same time, your situation, like you don't have kids that are like, hopefully the kids haven't come back, but you hopefully don't have kids that are like growing and changing and all those changing situations. So we have to buy things with flexibility in mind, I guess, on a lot of that.
I mean, we've always said if all else fails, we can always use the couch in the front as a bed and make the bedroom a bunk room, or if we decided that we wanted to stay in the Airstream. So there's definitely options, or kids could sleep on the pull-out bed, or and you would just have to move that every day. But a lot of families do that, and it's not a big deal. So
So there are a lot of different options, even beyond what we've already done, as far as like flexibility in an Airstream. When we made our choice for this one, we really wanted to try to get a dedicated living room, hangout area, a dedicated spot for Hensley, and a dedicated spot for us in 28 feet, because this is a 28-foot trailer with a 3-foot hitch. And we feel like we did that. It's small, but we do have that, and it seems to work. We did not. I'm going to share this outline when I get done. I pretty much didn't touch it. We covered some of it, but it's more important to me that we have almost like a conversation. You guys are shooting questions out to us that are great questions, so I mean, I'd rather answer those than necessarily go directly by the outline. But I'll have this outline too. Some of the stuff we're going to list in our outline, like kitchen appliances that are a must, some stuff that are like our faves, tips for organizing things. One of the phrases we use a lot: a place for everything, everything in its place. Because one of the questions we got, is how do I know where everything goes or where everything is? Well, everything, especially in an RV, it's like magnified. Everything has to have a place. Like from where your shoes go when you walk in the door, to where the paper towels, to your wallet, to your keys, to everything, just about. Yeah. Because if you don't, stuff gets in the way. Like in a space this small, at least, stuff gets in the way fast if you don't have like a dedicated place for things. So that's a big concept.
It adds up fast. Nathan always says he can tell my path because if I leave stuff out, it's like he can tell exactly what I've been doing.
Like, Briss had this for breakfast.
Yeah.
She came over here and did this. Came over here and did that. Yeah.
So it's like sometimes I catch myself being like, I really don't want to put this back up, but I'm like, yeah, it needs to go back in there. I'll have to deal with it eventually. So what do you say? Deal with it while you got your hands on it. So I tell myself that a lot because you do. Eventually, you're just moving it around over and over, which is what I catch myself doing. But
that's kind of my concept is you're going to eventually have to put those clothes on the floor away at some point. So why not put them away while you have your hands on it so that they're not in your way on the floor? But it's like a lot of other stuff. It just takes, if you've done that for a long time, it's really hard to have that discipline of having that constant place. We're great to talk about this because we're like, Marissa's really, really good at a lot of things. And I ask her about, like, don't play her in categories as a nurse. It's horrible. So, but I mean, like, I can't believe that's what I picked out.
Yeah, thanks. That's my talent.
But it's good to have people that complement each other with different skills and different talents. And thank goodness, I think that's why it's good for us to have conversations like this because we have such a different viewpoint and different challenges and different things we struggle with that. And downsizing is one of those things, too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you guys sort of the last part? I've still got some stuff I can hit up on the outline if I want to, but this is where I kind of open it up. If you guys if you've been holding in like a random question it could have to do with downsizing. It could be anything. I mean, it could be having to do with, we talked about picking our right RV, or it could be some of the stuff we've talked about in the past too. We're open to, that's part, we want to just be open and honest with you guys on these and just off the cuff. It scares Marissa we do these actually because I just... No, not for her. You scare what I'm going to say.
Oh, yes. Nathan doesn't have a filter sometimes.
My filter's broken sometimes, so. But that's part of the goal, too, is for us just to be here as a sounding board.
But they're asking, boondocking sounds great.
Yeah.
But do you sleep at night with no AC? Yes. Or are you miserable and sweaty? Well,
yeah.
That's why we follow the weather.
It doesn't always happen.
That's true. We have been miserable and sweaty, but... Yeah, and you just have to bite the bullet. But for the most part, we've been comfortable.
I will say and you don't know until you get on the road and you sort of know how hard you can push yourself and how much temperamental weather you can stand. But there have been a few times where we've had the motorhome, not many because we follow the weather, but where we parked in like a Walmart parking lot or something and we've had to crank up the generator to run the AC. And our current setup, I don't know that I'd want to pull out the generator, even if it was chained to something, and let that thing run outside like that. So if you know you're really temperamental as far as the weather and you think you might be doing some boondocking, motorhomes are pretty nice for that. You just you push that little button, the generator kicks on, and for the most part in all RVs, they're meant where you can just turn anything on you want. If you have two ACs, you turn both of them on. Now you're using your fuel.
Well, that guy in Moab, when we were boondocking in Moab, he had his generator on for like, a week straight?
Yeah, the Moab videos that are going on right now, there's a Class A that's right across from us, a week straight. nonstop.
We seriously started
middle of the night.
worrying.
I couldn't sleep one night at 3 a.m. I got up and
No, it was 24/7.
it was
all
24/7.
day,
Yeah,
all
they had
night.
yeah, I don't know how they didn't run out of fuel.
We thought,
that's what was
and we
amazing.
didn't see them for a week. We
Yeah, they
never
never
saw
came
them.
out.
I seriously thought, do we need to go check? Has somebody passed away in there? I didn't
Yeah.
know what was going on, but we finally saw one guy one day. So they just like their AC.
Audrey wanted to say hi before she headed out. So
Oh,
hi, Audrey.
hey.
Sorry we didn't have Hensley out here.
Yeah. Next time.
So, but sorry, I mean to. But yeah, so you can run, and you go to these like these rallies, Albuquerque, stuff like that. People just run their generator 24/7 if there's not generator hours in a hot area. But yeah, it's an option. I don't know. We calculated up how much fuel we were using with the generator. It was maybe $9 a night if we ran it with the AC, maybe something like that, which is way cheaper than still paying for a campsite. But at the same time, you put wear and tear on your
I don't know
generator.
what we do now. We just have to be hot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, we haven't got stuck in that situation yet. But if we stayed in Walmart where it was hotter than we thought it was going to be, we might have to suck it up and hope we could sweat our way through the night. So.
Hey, after we boondocked in Moab for a couple of weeks, though, we went and stayed one night in a state park that had electric.
That was nice.
That was the best night's sleep we had in a long time, having that AC. So it just makes you appreciate the little things. I mean, we get to stay in some really cool places boondocking, but, you know, it's nice to mix it up, I guess, for us.
She asked if you got to drive the Jeep. You drove it a little bit, right?
No, you wouldn't let me. I asked.
Well,
I was like, you want me to drive?
Technically, I thought they said the only person that signed. I mean, well, I couldn't film it. They know what we signed.
I just drove, like, so he could get a couple shots.
Yeah.
And that was it. I wanted to. I begged to. I'm like, you
well,
want
we
me to drive?
should have asked more because we knew we were filming everything we were doing. Not that it's not like it's. I don't know. We try to do everything by the book as much as we can, but that was kind of my concern.
You just wanted to be the one driving the Jeep.
I need to keep everything. Yeah, exactly. That's what it was.
I think Nathan's scared of my driving.
She yeah. You drove the van once and wrecked it once. Is that your 1 for 1? Or did you drive it twice?
I drove it twice.
So twice and wrecked it once. So it's not bad. 50%
I don't know
of
if
the time.
wrecked it is the right term.
You backed it into a tree.
Well, backing up is hard.
You pulled it up.
I can go forward.
You just gave up. It wasn't even.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So we have to rent another Jeep, Diane, because next time I'm putting my name on it.
We kind of a roundabout covered most of this stuff.
Yeah, we didn't talk about heirlooms.
Heirlooms.
I guess.
Thank you, Diane.
Yeah, thanks.
Did you have anything you want to say about heirlooms? I know you wrote a post on that.
Yeah, I did. If you haven't saw our post, we've been doing a little bit about downsizing and minimalism, and I talked about heirlooms because that was the question I get quite often. And you know, after my dad passed, there were some things that I didn't want to get rid of, and that was really hard. But I thought, I don't want them stored up where nobody can use them or see them, or so I passed them on to other family members, and you know, they gladly took them. And I think it's one of those things you have to get to the point, because, you know, my sister, she goes, if you want this back one day, you can have it. And I thought, well, you never know what's going to happen. You don't know if something's going to break, if something's going to get lost, if they don't even remember it was yours. So I had to deep down just part with it and say, it's getting use, it's with somebody who loves it. And that helped a lot. I mean, because we even had furniture that was really hard, like Hensley's crib.
Yeah.
That was really hard for me to get. It's not technically an heirloom, I guess, but it was hard for me.
Emotional stuff.
Yeah. And so we actually gave it to friends of ours who just had a baby. So, you know, I think that just helps me knowing that somebody else is making memories and loving it instead of just being stored away. That's kind of my motivation.
And that's kind of the big thing for me is like, because we've had stuff in storage and we still have a tiny bit of stuff in storage, but when you take something and put it in storage and nobody else gets to enjoy that item, and that's, I mean, we'll go ahead and share a preview for you guys since we're doing this live today. I mean, we actually took our motor. We're still trying to sell our motorhome. That's a whole other deal. But it's been very difficult selling that motor. I've sold 10 plus vehicles, RVs, cars, all that, 10 to 15 probably since we've been together. And we've had a hard time selling the motorhome. So today we actually took it to get it consigned at a dealer. But I think what makes me almost as sick as the fact that we've got all that money tied up in the motorhome. That does make me sicker. But almost as sick is just the fact that nobody's getting to use that motorhome. It's just sitting there. And so I think, we think of all the memories and all the things we did in that motorhome, and we just want so bad for somebody to be able to create memories, whether it's a family or a couple or anybody, just be able to take that motorhome out, and it doesn't need to sit there and deteriorate. And, and that's what happens a lot of times with our stuff. It sits there, and you go to go get it out of storage, and maybe like a critter got into it, or maybe it rusted, or maybe it's just gone, or you can't find it. All that kind of stuff's, when you don't downsize, the alternative is holding on to stuff that you're not using, and there may be somebody else who really, really needs what you have or wants what you have. And that's kind of the cool thing when you're giving something, especially to somebody in person, face to face, is really cool if you know they need it.
You got to find what's your motivator, what brings you joy, and if that's bringing other people joy or seeing it get put to use, and that's helpful. And I think that's what what the quote from the minimalists, one of their quotes is, love people, use stuff, because the opposite never works. Is that right? Did I get that right? Love people, use stuff, the opposite never works. Yes. Instead of using people and loving stuff. So when you to me, the purpose of things or to stuff is to bring yourself joy or other people joy, and not just kind of like keep it bottled up. And so I think you're looking for ways for that stuff to leverage joy for people. And that's in a sense what we want to do by giving up. We want to try to give up as much of our stuff as we can, because that frees us up. Instead of spending time on our stuff, we get to spend time with you guys and with other people and with family and with friends. And Diane's talking about all these RVs and stores. There are a lot, and there's times I think to store an RV, maybe for a short term, or maybe you use it on the weekends and stuff. There's times to store an RV. I'm definitely not like bashing that. I think there's definitely a reason for that and a place for that. Yeah.
But if you can, if it's something it's just like other stuff. If you know you're not using it, if you can, find a way for somebody to share that joy. I think that's really cool. See if I had anything else. I think that's about. We've roundabout kind of. You see how organized I am? I'm like, we need to cover the outline.
He is.
I asked Marissa, I was like, do you want the outline in front of you? Or she's like, I don't even look at the outline.
I don't. I just talk. I wing it. I can talk all day, so.
Well, good. You can go ahead and talk while I'm looking through this. Let's see. There's one about renting versus putting stuff in storage. Capsule wardrobe. I guess we could wrap up with that, the concept of a capsule wardrobe. One thing we've tried to do is layers. I guess it kind of has to do with capsule wardrobes, but also layers tie into that. The reason I can have such a small amount of clothing is that all my clothing works together as layers. So if I'm going somewhere really hot or whatever, I've got just my pair of cargo shorts and I've got my shirts. But if we're going somewhere that's really cold, then I've got pants, a shirt, I've got a fleece hoodie, and I've got a jacket or whatever, and I love toboggans. I think toboggans are really flexible. Anyways, I'm obsessed with my toboggan, I guess.
Because you'll have a toboggan with shorts on, and I still don't get it.
It works.
He swears by it, but it doesn't make
it's
sense.
It's weird.
To
My
me.
legs don't get as cold, but if I keep my head warm.
If I'm cold enough for a toboggan, it's cold enough for pants.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. If you're trying to downsize your clothing, you can look for ways to layer with clothing to be able to work with different temperatures. And so we can go from one temperature extreme to the next because we can layer our stuff. And
I do the same thing. Like I have certain dresses that I have, and they're short sleeve or sleeveless, and I can wear them in the summer. And then in the winter, I put like leggings and a cardigan on with it. So I can wear my stuff in both seasons. So that's what I do with my capsule wardrobe.
And let's be honest, for the guys in an RV, it's all about getting your stuff down to smallest space you can, so she can have more
That's
space.
why I don't complain that you have.
She knows if you want me to like have 20 shirts and 20 shorts and 20
then
pants.
That means I have less.
Yeah,
so.
Yep. So she lets me get by with it. We'll wrap up. Brenda talks about you miss nursing.
When I'm on the road,
yes.
No, actually, I enjoy my time because, to be honest, when we're in our hometown, when we come back, I work quite a bit, don't I? It seems like it
Yeah,
anyway. Like
yeah.
I'm
She crams it in.
cramming everything in when we're in our hometown. So I get my feel, I guess is the word. And I do love it. I enjoy it. I've been working quite a bit lately, and it makes me feel good to be able to take care of people when they're having those babies. But I don't know. So I do. It's a good mix. I enjoy my time on the road, and then I get to enjoy my nursing when I'm home. So Hensley's boots, they get a lot of attention. Do we have them in a few sizes?
We should have. I feel bad now. What do we do with the smaller ones? We still got. We've gone through, how many sizes have we gone through?
This is her second pair, and
she's about up to her third.
Yeah, she needs a third pair.
So we probably need to take that pair and do something with that. I don't think we did it last time. We need to.
She loves those boots.
So maybe we could do like I don't know, can we do a contest and give away her boots or something? Does anybody care about having a pair of pink rain boots? I don't really know, but.
You could do like they used to do in like bronze on. Remember how they used to like bronze baby shoes? Do you remember that?
I don't know. Thank goodness.
Yeah, I'm sure other people know what I'm talking about.
Let's see. They're talking about storage. The van. I think the van. It's been good as far as storage. There's some downsides to the van. While we come back in town every time, I overdo probably the amount of, like making sure everything's radiator is clean and it's prepped. It's not going to overheat. Changing the oil and just. So we've been doing all that while we're back to getting ready for the next outing. But it's been good. I think that's the main thing we missed, is probably the 4-wheel drive. But
that's why it's good having a home base too. We are so busy when we come in our hometown. It's like we are doing everything that we can't do on the road or isn't convenient on the road. So it's kind of like hitting the reset button. It's like getting prepared, and we purge, we do maintenance, we see family and friends and work, and then it's like time to go hit the road. So it's good. Yeah,
and that's kind of a good conversation maybe in the future time too. Like, is it better to have a home base, or is it better to, a lot of people don't really have like a home base. They're just traveling the country the whole time. But we like the home base option because of where our family's at, and we get to I know the mechanics, and I know the people around if I do want to do any remodeling on the Airstream or some stuff on it. So it's nice to have that here. It's very difficult on the road, like to get parts, to find the right people who won't rip you off and know what they're doing, and it's nice to have that familiarity.
See, Diane knows about the bronze shoes.
The bronze shoes.
I can't believe.
All right.
I guess your mom didn't bronze your shoes. My mom didn't bronze mine either, but I've seen it before.
I might have. I'm trying to picture in my head. I think I've seen it, but I don't think I even realized that's what was going on.
Yeah, they like.
I think I just thought, why would anybody have bronze shoes?
Yeah, it kind of looks like a statue of shoes.
Yeah, that's okay. I think I have seen it, but I didn't realize it was.
Or Brenda said a planter. Hensley would have that destroyed. She loves like getting dirt and throwing it around. She would have that. Yeah, that would be gone in like 10 seconds with her. She loves like dirt and pouring it and throwing it, doesn't she?
She does. She's a toddler.
Yeah.
Well, we're actually going to go, I guess, get her picked up.
Yeah, today, I'm sure my sisters, because we went to consign the RV today, so she, instead of her being in the car all day, she stayed with my sister. So my sister's probably like, all right, time to go home.
We're going to go pick her up. And then I hope you guys enjoy these Q&As. We do get to, I don't know, I enjoy them. I enjoy doing this. It's a different pace and different than the videos we do. The videos, like, I'm constantly cutting or thinking, and I think we get to be more open and be ourselves with these, and it's a lot of fun for us. But appreciate everybody coming in, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you, Diane, Brenda, and the whole list. I mean, I'm going to scroll up, but we've had a lot of you guys coming in and out. I know everybody can't come in for a full hour necessarily, but if you came in or out, just thank you so much for coming in. Really appreciate it.
We'll see you guys next time.
See you guys.
Bye.